Do you think film industries try hard enough to engage with their audiences? If so, this presentation is for you. Hello, my name is Diego Vigil, and today I'll be presenting my answer regarding CCR number 2. How does your product engage with audiences and how would it be distributed as a real media text? Before I begin, I would like to note that I will be briefly addressing the genres of our film. Then, I will talk about our trailers and posters as well as their semiotics. To continue, I will talk about the distribution process of our film, for example, film festivals, one of the big six, and streaming. And to wrap my presentation up, I will talk about the marketing process and social media strategies. Now, I would like to talk about genres. Our film, Inside on the Snake Brain, is a drama, psychological thriller, and horror movie involving two middle-aged men, one being a healthcare agent and the other being a patient. The film revolves around a vendetta between an agent using psychological deceitfulness in order to trick the innocent patient to join healthcare, and the patient trying his best not to fall into the temptation, but unfortunately, he falls and suffers a horrific death. We recognize that these genres target a specific audience. For example, it targeted a horror audience with the following trailer.
I just don't think I should be paying $27,000 to be safe in case anything bad happens to me or my family.
We decided to integrate a J-cut of Anthony speaking about his healthcare experience. We were able to interrupt that by a loud, treacherous song to create a sense of fear into the viewers. We also took a shot of Anthony freaking out about his role as a father and Guillermo looking like a predator against Anthony, almost foreboding bad things to happen in the near future. And for our final scene, media theorist Roland Barthes' theory of semiotics was evident. When Anthony got bitten by Guillermo, which led to his bloody death as seen in the Fade to Red, there was a snake bite on his hand. This was a clear signifier of the horrors in which healthcare can do, and the innocent lives that they do not hesitate to take. We also worked on the cuts between every shot by placing words such as "he's thirsty" and "for blood" to represent Guillermo's horrific, predator way of being. Thus, we are able to attract a horror fan base through the skills we integrated in this trailer. And in order to target the psychological thriller audience, we incorporated this trailer.
So what do you say? And all I care about is being number one.
The opening sequence starts with Guillermo reaching his arm out, saying, "So, what do you say?" which gives him a sense of manipulation in regards to Anthony. The next shot focuses on the process of Anthony falling into the lies in which Guillermo is placing him in, as clearly shown by his contemplation. The following scene is about Guillermo's speech about wanting to be number one. Through this, we were able to give Guillermo a madman, a psychotic way of being, which attracts those psychological thriller lovers who enjoy the journey of a villainous psycho. The last scene focuses on the downfall of Anthony due to him falling into the lies, deceits, and manipulation tactics of the great manipulator. The theory of semiotics from Roland Barthes is evident once again, with an eerie silence so that the viewers can reflect on the psychotic event that just took place. And while we did apply many cuts between the shots, one of the most prominent examples was the "don't fall into his temptation" cut, which really shows how psychologically powerful Guillermo is, as seen by the glitches that it has, almost as if it's losing its mind just thinking of the deceits that the man can pull off. That being said, we were able to attract an audience who do not only love a villainous rampage, but a psychotic villainous rampage. Overall, both of these trailers were both aimed at a political audience in regards to healthcare. We tried to not just attract horror and psychological thriller lovers, but also a deeper, more socially involved audience who don't just watch movies for entertainment, but for a message. Now, to focus on our genre-based posters. For our first poster, we decided to target horror lovers as our main audience. We integrated a black and blood red color scheme to the poster to represent power, danger, and a horrific overall sense. We then placed a picture of Guillermo going down the stairs, reaching his arm out to the audience, emphasizing his pursuit of victims and not necessarily helping. We decided to cover Guillermo's face with his hair, which represents how he's hiding his true identity and motives in order to capture people and kill them in due time. Overall, this poster and its horrific representation captivate the lives of the horror audience. These signs of deceit, death, and craftsmanship are all in correlation to Roland Barthes' theory of semiotics, and on this occasion, all of this ties down to the malevolency of healthcare. For our second poster, we decided to focus on psychological thriller lovers. We decided to go with a black and gold red color scheme, which then gets slightly subverted by the red streaks that look like blood splatters. The black and gold is meant to represent the power, prestige, and luxurious control of the higher-ups, and on this occasion, this color scheme embodies the power of healthcare and how it is plagued by corruption and greed. This can also be used to represent how healthcare has a mysterious, authoritative control over the lives of many, further adding to the psychological atmosphere of the poster. Roland Barthes would make note of the red streaks used to signify life, sacrifice, blood, and death, which is in the hands and blame of healthcare. The golden staff in the middle of the poster is a reference to not just healthcare, but our film as well. We made sure that the staff was overlaid with red streaks to represent how healthcare is responsible for the bloodbath of many victims in their business. Thus, we are able to attract a psychological thriller audience through the oppressive semiotics of this poster. Now, I would like to speak about our film festivals, one of the big six, and streaming services. For horror genre, we decided to focus on festivals such as Sitges Film Festival, the Fantasia International Film Festival, and Fantastic Fest. But for a more specific festival, we picked the LA Crime and Horror Film Festival. For our psychological thriller genre, we had little to no luck in finding relative festivals, but we did find the Belief Psychology Film Festival. In regards to the big six, we tried in many efforts to incorporate our film into one of them, but we found no such luck. So, with the help of a film hub and its distribution recommendations, we decided to move on to the streaming platforms such as Tubi, Peacock, and Amazon Prime Video. But if by any means none of those streaming platforms work for us, our last resort would have to be YouTube. Now, I would like to conclude by talking about our marketing strategy and our social media. For our marketing strategy, we decided to incorporate merchandise such as hoodies, shirts, and hats. We did not just want to appeal to an audience that likes psychological thriller, horror, and drama, but also an audience that liked comedy. One way we did this was by adding a horrific, but also funny photo of Guillermo into hoodies and shirts, and placing a relatable and funny meme above it. Another piece of clothing was a hat that we decided to make for both younger and older audiences. The hat has a large, stitched embroidery that says Snake Brain. In a way, this can once again appeal to a comedic audience as it does have a comical connotation to it, which can also appeal to a younger audience as they can be seen as more immature. Marketing expert Seth Godin stated that the ultimate goal for any producer is to create a tribe, and our film was not focused on getting profits and money like the big conglomerate products are. Rather, we are trying to shoot a message at the world in regards to the issue of healthcare and unite a group of people to fight against this problem. As David Gauntlet would note, people determine their identities by the media products they consume, and if we want people to truly identify with the message of this movie, we must feed them art, not repetitive slop, cash-grabbing slop. And as for our social media page, we decided to go with the title Snakebite Productions, as it is the name of the more well-known production company in our film, which can also attract a major audience. We decided to make an account on Instagram as it is filled with a wide panorama of audiences, old and young, active and not active, and much more. Besides the fact that our main target audiences are horror and psychological thriller lovers, we do believe that we can gain a wider range of audience with the help of Instagram. Thus, through marketing and social media, we are not only not able to make a firm foundation in our target audience, but also expand our audience to a higher level of diversity. Thank you.